In this video, we're going to be revealing what some of the biggest worries in the life of a Year 7 might be, from research that me and my colleagues have been doing right up and down the country for quite a few years. And we're going to be talking about what we can all do in order to support Year 7s during that process. Welcome to our safe space to explore the big issues of life and faith. This is our weekly video. Whatever day you're joining us, hello, happy day to you. We've got a good session today actually though in our safe space, good video. If you're in Year 7, how you could think about Year 7 and helping you through that process, or if you aren't in Year 7, how it's on all of us to help Year 7s at this very important time in the year.
I agree.
For Year 7s. Shoutouts! We're going to do some shoutouts. It is time to do our shoutouts. Who are we shouting out to today, Hettie?
We're going to shout out Abby, Jamie! I shouted.
Very good. Abby and Jamie have
They had some great comments on Instagram. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
So positive.
Yeah,
and
if you're not on Instagram at safespace _ Southport. Yeah. They said some really good stuff.
Yeah, true.
What else? Oh,
also,
the
survey.
Oh, a survey. We had a survey.
To find out what, I don't know why we do that, to find out what you think about what we're doing. Yeah. And one of the things that stuck out to me this week was that somebody had said that the safe space real talk that we'd done on YouTube sharing about big issues was really helpful to them so that they could understand the loved ones around them and what they were going through and how they could help them. And I was like, that is really cool that you wouldn't just watch these videos for you, but watching them for the sake of other people. I really like that.
And if you want to check out what we're talking about, the Real Talk videos, part of our safe space, exploring the big issues of life and faith. I've got good at saying that fast, actually.
Big issues of life and faith.
Big issue of life and faith. Then our Real Talk series is ready for you to binge watch in a playlist straight from our YouTube channel. Go watch it through. Lots of great stuff. All of our personal stories and things like that shared all around mental health and the big issues that we face or those around us may be facing. So go check that out. In fact, actually, this video could be touching on some big issues for some people. And it may not be for you as you watch this, but it may be for someone that you know or someone you might meet in a couple of weeks perhaps when we start back at secondary school. So before that though, we do need to have our rooted question. Yes, our rooted question from our rooted pack of cards from Scripture Union. This week's question is, if you could meet the version of yourself from 2 years ago, what advice would you give? Now, we did actually include this question a few videos ago, but I thought this fits really well with what we're talking about today. Because actually, when we look back in our lives, we can see the things we did and the choices we made perhaps, or we can think of some advice that maybe we want to give to someone younger than us to help them. And so because we're talking about Year 7s and that journey of Year 7, I thought that would be a really good rooted question. So if you have an answer to that question, do put your answer in the comments, especially if it relates to Year 7s, because we'd love the Year 7s to come and watch this video on our channel and get some good advice from it, not from us, but from you and your comments. Okay, so Hettie and I are both youth workers. In fact, technically, we work for a youth work charity that refers to us as schools workers because we work
in schools.
In schools. We do our youth work in schools, working with children and young people. And so we have been working with a lot of children and young people for quite a number of years now. And we have lots of friends and colleagues up and down the country as well. And so I've been asking them, and we've been doing a bit of research together for, again, quite a number of years, as to what Year 6s are most worried about when they move into Year 7. I've put together that research and I've come up with a list. Top 5 worries.
Ooh, okay.
The top 5 worries that Year 6s seem to be worried about when they move to secondary school.
Trying to think what they would be.
Well, we're going to run through. Ooh. Starting at number 5. Number 5 is detention.
Yeah.
Did you get detention, Hettie?
Surprisingly not.
You didn't get detention?
No, like in the whole time of school, surprisingly
actually,
not.
I didn't get detention, but that's kind of believable, right? But wow. But I would say though, detentions aren't that great. I can understand why you might be worried about them. But when you think about it, there's one way to not get detention.
Don't do something that warrants getting a detention.
Well, there we go. Oh,
yeah.
It is. Maybe it is.
I mean, right. So I regularly got moved because I would talk to people a lot. But then I'd just make friends with the person I was sat next to, and then
nothing changes.
Yeah, but it didn't ever go so far as detention. But I always found things like a bunch of people in my class would get detentions for not doing the homework, and I was like, what's the point in that? Because if I don't do my homework, not only do I still have to do it later on, but I also have to stay after school. And I just didn't want the hassle of staying after school or staying in a lunchtime. So I just followed the rules quite well.
If you follow the rules and you try and be a good citizen of your school and everything, then you should avoid those detentions and stuff. And occasionally, if you slip up and you make a little mistake, maybe you forget something or whatever, or your whole class does something wrong.
Yes,
those things might crop up, but I wouldn't say it's the end of the world to worry about those sort of things. So long as you try and be a good citizen of your school, you should avoid those detentions. Speaking of something that you mentioned though, number 4 is...
Oh, is it homework?
Homework.
Yeah,
yes. You see, when you go to secondary school, the amount of homework you get does change. It does shift up a gear, doesn't it?
It does.
But you see, I would always say with homework that it's important and it does have a purpose. Because actually, like anything in life, if you practice, it gets easier.
Yeah.
If you practice, it gets better. Like learning a musical instrument, you get better and it sounds better the more you practice.
Yeah.
And so the work that you do for school, no matter what the subject, the more you practice, the easier it's going to get. And so life in general is just going to get easier.
Yeah.
You're not going to be like in year 11 still working out like why there's a letter in that maths equation and things.
Helping yourself be less anxious later and things like that.
So homework's
really
actually a helpful thing.
Yeah.
And if you're worried about how you're going to fit it all in, we do have a video on our channel, our YouTube channel, that should be quite helpful about that, which is all about hacks for life, how to win at life, and prioritising, fitting things into place and making the most of the time you got.
Watch that.
Yeah. Number 3 of these top worries across our great nation is not knowing anyone.
Fair enough.
Fair
enough. You go from a small school to a big school, you maybe don't know as many people. I kind of get that. At the moment, I feel like it's a little bit easier for people because there's going to be less moving around in the school.
There is.
A lot of classes will stay together, and so actually it'll be easier, I think, for people to make friends, and you'd hope that people will worry less because they'll be in the same group of people and they can make friends hopefully quite easily.
I mean, for me, I went to secondary school with just 2 friends from my primary school, and out of all the year 6s I've visited over the years in primary school, there's always been that one who's like going to a secondary school that no one else is going to, and you're like, oof, wow, okay. And you know, those people, actually, that I could see why you'd be worried.
Yeah, fair enough.
But I would say though, actually, everyone in secondary school, everyone in year 7 starts in a similar place, and that there's going to be people that you don't know.
Yeah.
And if I was talking to myself back then, I would probably challenge myself to be like, actually, try and see it as a bit of a game almost. Every day, say, today I'm going to talk to 3 new people.
Yeah.
Tomorrow I'm going to talk to 4. The day after I'm going to talk to 5.
One of those people might be like an awesome best friend that you might have throughout the whole of school, and that'll be awesome and super
By the end of school, I had loads of friends, and I wasn't the best at making them to start off with, but by the end, I loved having like different friends and exciting friends, and it was really, really good.
That's good.
Okay, you ready?
Yeah.
Number 2.
Number 2.
The second most worried about thing by year 7 starting secondary school, getting lost.
Yeah.
Getting lost.
Again, it's the small school to a big school.
Yeah.
I'm again getting in trouble because I was on lesson late and
I mean, when you start secondary school, like it is bigger, isn't it? Often.
It is.
There are some big primary schools in Southport, actually, when I think about it, but most of the secondary schools are bigger.
Yeah.
And when you're moving around your secondary school and you're trying to work your way around, you do tend to get given a map.
Yeah.
And if you were a little bit late to start off with,
there's a bit of grace.
There's a bit of grace. You're still finding your way around. But generally, you know, you have your map. And I remember actually I was walking around once in year 7 and I was following my map. And I ended up finding this corridor though that wasn't on the map. And as I walked down this corridor, I kept going and I kept walking and it just seemed to go on forever and ever. And all the rooms started to look weirder and weirder. And then the people down this corridor looked kind of shorter and smaller. And then it kind of smelled a bit funny. It smelled a bit like chocolate. And it was, but I got a bit creeped out. I was pretty scared actually. I was like, where on earth is this corridor going? And I got to a door and I had to like play some music to go.
I think you might have got a bit confused with Willy Wonka's Chocolate Factory. Or at the start, it was sounding a bit like Hogwarts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think that was your school.
Okay.
Yeah.
No,
it wasn't.
No.
But anyway, getting lost.
Yeah.
So, firstly, I would say, if you make friends and if you try hard to, you know, get to know people and you're not on your own, then it means you can be with others while you're navigating the corridors and it's easier to find your way around when someone else is there. But also, make sure you know where the toilets are and the canteen, because that's the most important thing.
That is important.
Yeah,
that is
very
really
important.
Yeah, and having people around you to help you not get lost is important because, I mean, Hettie still gets lost going to her friends' houses.
I drove past the other day and was like, oh, I've missed it.
Yeah, but when I drop you off, you never get lost then.
No.
So having people that you can rely on to help you get around is important. Number 1, the top most worried about thing by year 7, starting secondary school. This is it. This is number 1. Well, I'll tell you actually number 1 is something that I've never witnessed.
Okay.
I've never known anyone else that witnessed this ever.
Right.
Of all the secondary school students I've ever met, I've never known anyone that this has happened to. Anyone that's been to secondary school, like adults, this has never actually happened. I've only ever seen it in movies, actually. And if it did happen, it would ruin your day quite a bit.
Yes.
But,
kind of sorry.
Like I say, I've never seen it happen.
No.
You guessed it, haven't you?
Is it a swirly?
It is a swirly. Getting your head flushed down the toilet is that top worry.
That's what they call it in America, swirly.
Swirly. Yeah. But actually, I've never seen it happen.
It doesn't seem to happen.
Only seen it in movies.
And you get in big trouble if you did that to someone.
You really would.
I don't.
And
I just don't think people would actually do it.
It would kind of be obvious if someone was walking around like proper like wet, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But anyway, actually, that's quite a tongue-in-cheek way of looking at our top worry, though. I must admit.
Oh, so swirlies isn't quite.
No, swirlies is just a bit of a little joke example.
Okay.
Because our real top worry isn't a joke at all, actually.
No.
Our top worry is in fact bullying, which is something that people worry about when they move to secondary school in particular. But bullying happens in all areas of life.
Oh, yeah.
Where bullying happens with younger kids, it happens with adults.
Yeah. Because people are people, and not all people are great all the time. Yeah. Unfortunately, it does happen in different areas of life, but it doesn't happen all the time to everyone.
No, it doesn't.
And there are things we can do.
Yeah. And so if you feel like perhaps that's something that is happening to you, that people are targeting you and doing things that aren't very nice to you many times, and it seems purposeful, that would be the definition of bullying, then you really should have the courage, as much as it, and the strength, as hard as it may be, to speak up. Because that's the best way to stop it happening.
Yeah.
And in fact, actually, people may well worry about bullying, but I think actually we've all got a part to play in trying to stomp it out and make sure it doesn't happen.
Yeah, because like in school, there are specific staff members that are awesome and are trained and are there to help you and to talk to you.
True.
It's important that we always talk to someone. But also, if you're somebody that has bullied, sometimes there's a reason for it. It's because they've been bullied themselves and because they're struggling. And actually, it's important for you to talk to someone as well and to try and figure out how you can not do that. Because if you bully other people, it's going to cause them a problem as well. So just let's not bully other people. Let's be kind. If we were all kind, nobody would bully anyone and life would be a lot easier.
That's true. But when that isn't always the case, we need to know that we speak up and we have the courage, we have the strength to speak up. That stands for everyone. Because if you aren't a bully and you aren't being bullied, but you just watch it happening around you, then you're kind of contributing in a way to the bullying itself by not stepping in and speaking up. And that doesn't mean that you join in and you battle it out and you have a fight, but you speak up about what's happening. You talk to the right members of staff. There's senior staff, there's pastoral staff in your school, some of whom their whole job role is to handle and deal with stuff like bullying. And so speaking up is the most important thing, because actually all together as a community in our schools, we can work together to make sure that bullying is eliminated.
True.
And if we do that, then it doesn't need to be that big a worry as it can be for people right now.
So just like with bullying, it takes us all to make a difference, and it takes us all to be the best that we can be for the sake of our school communities.
True.
And it's really important, if you're not in year 7, that you think right now, how can I spread this message? How can I help year 7s? How can I remember what it was like when I was in year 7? And how can I help alleviate some of these worries that they've got? And how can I do something positive for someone else?
Yeah, we really want our safe space and our YouTube channel and Instagram and the community we build around that to be a real community where people belong and support each other. And so we want to challenge you that perhaps in a few weeks, if you're not in year 7, or even if you are in year 7 actually, and you see a year 7 in secondary school, perhaps point them to some of our videos that you think might be helpful, particularly this one, because it kind of talks about being in year 7, but others maybe as well. And perhaps welcome them in and try and support them as best as you can. And so we will be making more videos to support you no matter where you are in life, as part of our safe space to explore the big issues of life and faith. Or you could head over to Instagram and check out some of our stuff there. Whatever you choose to do next, I hope you have a great time doing it. And we'll see you in our next upload. Bye! Bye.